All right, so this is the last video I plan on doing on this, but I have some new. Well, I promised you guys a video yesterday about Brock Lesnar's involvement, and I also found another. Well, one of our community viewers actually found a photograph of Janelle Grant from. It looks to be literally right before she got hired by Vince McMahon, and I'm going to show it to you guys in a second. And listen, this is like okay. This is going to be one of those videos where like you're going to think that you've heard my opinion on this, and I will continue to reiterate that I didn't really make an opinion on Vince McMahon's situation other than she can't say it was non-consensual if she was stating that she was consenting all throughout the thing. That does not mean that I sign off on Vince McMahon's behavior. That doesn't mean that I have no empathy for this girl. It doesn't mean anything other than it's not an assault if she consented. That said, Vince McMahon's a scumbag. I found out some stuff about him today, actually. Today, okay, from a source I'm not going to talk about, but, you know, someone who I spoke, who worked for the organization, okay, in the 2000s, who told, this has happened to other girls. He's paid millions of, like, verify, I don't even know if this story is even included in the stuff that you've been reading about, but another story of him paying millions of dollars to another girl who was involved in a situation like this. Apparently not as bad as this girl, but I want to stress this enough. I don't think Vince McMahon's a good dude. I don't think that the way he treats women is okay. If he did this to any of my daughters, I would slit his throat. He probably, you know, oh, he's a billionaire, real tough guy, big guy, whatever. You don't want to test a person with their kids, man. And I mean, there's no reason why my kids would ever be in a situation like this, which is why I keep on harping on the fact that I have to live in a world where the women are held responsible for their own decisions. That said, when I saw this picture of the girl, I don't know, man, kind of changes my opinion a little bit. Like you can make assumptions about a person based on photographs, and I'm really good at that. You know, like you look at a person and you're like, okay, what kind of person is this, right? And I'm not saying that you can know everything about a person from a picture, but you can make certain assumptions. And like this picture of this girl, this is not the kind of girl, this is not a girl that looks like someone who would like, this is a meek person is what this looks like to me, and very small. I find that out too. So we're going to talk about the Brock Lesnar thing. I'm going to show you this picture of the girl. I'm going to talk about all the really rancid, really sick stuff that Vince McMahon did with this girl that I have not talked about before because I didn't want to, whatever. But I'm going to show you and I'm going to show you what happened with Brock Lesnar. All right. And that's what we're going to do. So if you have been enjoying my coverage of this topic, go ahead and subscribe to the channel and ring the bell. I'm not going to make you guys wait. Check this out. Okay, so this is the picture. So this was from September 2018. She got hired in 2019. All right. Now they said that she was a person who did a bunch of like charity work, whatever. She's a rich kid. Okay. I talked about this yesterday. If you want to and I'll zoom in on her so you can get a slightly better look here. But like, if, you know, listen, dude, if you want to understand like what her background is. So yeah, she's 40 years old when she gets hired right here. She's probably 39. All right. And like, this girl looks shy. She looks shy to me. You know, she looks shy. Now that doesn't have anything to do with someone's, you know, proclivities or whatever. But this is her. This is the only other picture that anybody's found. And it was, of course, you know, of course, related to something that has the big guy's name right there. But it was like a supply drive or whatever. And what I've gathered from what we know is that her parents lived in the same building as Vince McMahon. Okay. Does Vince McMahon live in a building with people who don't have money? No. Her parents definitely had money. Then her parents died. And she was left to kind of figure out what she was going to do. And her parents had filed bankruptcy and lost the apartment. So like she was essentially starting from scratch without anything, right? And she probably always had her family to lean on. So she's probably in a pretty bad spot, dude. But anyway, so this is her very, very soon before she gets hired. And now that you've looked at her, okay, like I almost honestly want to take this screenshot so you can, you know what? Actually, I am going to do that. So for the rest of this video, I'm going to leave this picture up there so you can actually picture this girl. This girl is the one that this is happening to, all right? Because again, there's a big difference between me saying this is consensual and me saying like, oh, Vince McMahon's a good dude. Like, so just, this is the girl that this is happening to. And now I want to talk about the Brock Lesnar story, just the Brock Lesnar story, because it demonstrates the depravity of where this went, right? Aside from the fact that we already know that he shit on her. He shit on this girl, dude. This girl right here. This girl. This little girl. Vince McMahon took a shit on this girl and then had someone else bang her. This picture is very different. I don't know why. Like, that other picture, you can't really tell anything, but like looking at this one, she's 100 pounds. I found out in the lawsuit, at a certain point, she was under 100 pounds. 100 pounds. And he has, anyway, remember that when we start talking about Brock Lesnar. So WWE superstar is a professional wrestling superstar, performs at WK. So this is every time you see WWE superstar, they're talking about Brock Lesnar. Okay. So let's just keep on going. McMahon uses Grant as a sexual pawn to entice world-famous wrestling talent and to keep WWE superstar under contract with WWE. So here we go. McMahon began to recruit Brock Lesnar for a sexual encounter with Miss Grant while she was still a coordinator in the legal department. By July of 2021, McMahon informed Miss Grant that Brock Lesnar would be their next playmate. Okay? So McMahon describes his fantasy as seeing Miss Grant engaged in an unmerciful sexual act with the WWE superstar, during which he would rip her open. Rip her open. This girl. Okay? This girl. 100 pounds, Brock Lesnar. This girl, Brock Lesnar. The fantasy is he rips her open. Okay? I'm telling you that is in writing. I absolutely guarantee that is in part of the text messages. Probably followed by her responding an affirmative, like probably her being like, ooh, that sounds so hot, daddy, or whatever, which is why I haven't included it. But he wanted to see Brock Lesnar rip this girl open. 100 pounds, Brock Lesnar. His hands, as Joe Rogan has described him, are the size of lunchboxes. What do you think his dick looks like? Okay. McMahon also confided in Miss Grant that he wanted to have Brock Lesnar under a new contract, while the WWE superstar indicated an interest in a return from other professional endeavors. He wanted to create sexualized content, personalized for Brock Lesnar. He shared photos with Brock Lesnar and then informed Miss Grant that he likes what he sees. On July 21st, 2021, McMahon flew WWE superstar or caused WWE to fly onto a jet to a local airport into Connecticut for what McMahon described Mrs. Grant as a business dinner, as well as a sexual encounter with Mrs. Grant in McMahon's condo. Upon information and belief, the dinner was to discuss Brock Lesnar's continued involvement with WWE. Prior to the business dinner with McMahon, Brock made a brief visit to Miss Grant's building. However, Brock did not return to the building for a sexual encounter because he was too intoxicated and taken back to the plane. So they're saying that he was supposed to go meet her, but he was too drunk, so they took him back to the plane and he left. All right. This is what they say. Later, okay, by the way, let me just throw this in there. When Brock Lesnar did talk to her and they got specific about what type of sexual content they wanted to see, the answer was he wanted to see her urinating. And so apparently she agreed and made that video. And they went back, they went back and forth. And apparently they were set to meet up and whatever, but like it didn't happen or something. But believe it or not, Brock Lesnar wanting to see video of her peeing is not the most psychotic part of this story, not by a long shot. All right. And again, I don't know what it is about that picture that has kind of, I don't know. She's a small, meek person, dude. Like, this is a little girl, man. I don't know. Anyway, so let's see. So later that evening, after McMahon recounted the story about the dinner with the WWE to Miss Grant, he sought to salvage the night with a request that they role play with WWE superstar and Miss Grant. He sought to in a role play a sexual encounter in which McMahon acted as if he were Brock Lesnar. McMahon was so physically rough with Miss Grant during the encounter, Miss Grant begged McMahon to stop numerous times, including loud cries, "Help, I'm serious, I'm scared," as he, among other things, penetrated her, fisted her, pulled her hair, pinned her, shoved her, open palm slapped her. McMahon's assault caused Miss Grant to break down weeping and curl into the fetal position with her arms pulled up to protect her face. McMahon alternated between slaps and shoves before admitting, "I'm really fucking up with you left and right, huh?" So this is the thing that I don't know what to make of this, dude, because believe me when I tell you, This is a sexual fantasy for girls. Bottom line, and Gabrielle and I are about to record a podcast. She will confirm for you that this is a thing that girls fantasize about. Doesn't mean that they would do it necessarily, but it is a thing that they fantasize about, and some girls are super into this. That's what they want. They want to pretend like they're helpless. They want to pretend like it's getting taken from them. That's a thing. Looking at this picture, is this a girl who fantasizes about it? Who the fuck knows? You know what I mean? But I'm saying, like, if they are full throttle role playing, if they are, then this is what they're describing is factually accurate. But she could also still be consenting. But nonetheless, we're going to get to the really fucked up part. I mean, this is pretty fucked up, dude. If this is what you're, again, I can't stress this enough. If this is what, it's one thing for a girl to fantasize about being restrained and getting taken but for like a dude, this is what you're into. This is what you drive girls into all the time, is just a pure like power play where you just completely like degrade them and take everything from them. They don't have any choice. You just, I mean, like the grape fantasy thing is so fucked up to me, dude. Like, I don't know. This little girl, that's what you want to do? It's like the exact opposite of what I'm into. Exactly the opposite. I like tiny little girls and I like to envelop them in safety, you know? Like the exact opposite, you know? I throw them around because they feel so safe, or her. I'm pointing at my wife who is down there. It's like, but that's what I've always been into. It's like, I have always dated small girls. I've always thrown them around, but I do it in a way that's like, they feel so safe that they can just go full throttle and get into it, versus I'm beating the shit out of you and taking it. It's like the exact opposite. It's fucking insane, dude. Anyway, so continuing on, he forbade Miss Grant from leaving his condo that night unless she could verbally assure him that there wasn't a problem and everything between them was okay. Notably, however, he made no effort to check on her well-being after she left the condo, because it went so hard, and apparently I don't know if they have a safe word or don't have a safe word, but he the way that they did this was they full throttle, I am taking it from you. And apparently this one was so gnarly that he didn't know whether or not she was serious or not when she's screaming for him to stop. Fuck this guy, dude. Anyway, so that night, Miss McMahon texted Miss Grant a reminder that she was an enslaved object to him. I want to drive you lower and lower, so low you might beg me to sell you. He continued to advertise a sexual encounter with Miss Grant to Brock Lesnar, formal negotiation of WWE booking. He texted her, here's what I said after I told him that part of the deal was fucking you. LOL, so Brock Lesnar initially tried to turn this down. This is what's weird also, by the way, because in their chronological order, they have Brock Lesnar like going to her apartment to supposedly hang out, but then nothing happened. It's like, all right, well, so why are they talking like this now? I thought you guys had already agreed on it, because what initially Brock said was, that's your turf. She'll be ruined after me and leave your ass. Plus, after me, your tool won't fit anymore. That doesn't make sense, Brock. Dummy. If you're saying you have a big, huge cock, what you would say is that after me, she won't be able to feel you anymore. All right? I'm sorry, Brock. Don't beat me up, dude. But I'm just saying, like, your tool won't fit is incorrect. That would mean you made it smaller. You're saying you're going to make it bigger. And so she won't be able to feel you anymore is what you meant when you sent that text. So McMahon texts her, she'll believe me, this is going to get way more fucked up, by the way. She'll do anything requested of her. In the days that followed, WWE Superstar revealed fetish that Miss Grant and tested McMahon's promise that she would do anything. So Brock Lesnar would have lost any interest in her and then called her a bitch if she didn't comply with the request. And that's the thing about her urinating. So she did. Okay. I don't know what her thought process is, but that's what he asked for. She did it, right? The same month, WWE Superstar expressed Miss Grant his desire to set a date and have a sexual encounter. However, a snowstorm changed WWE Superstar's travel plans, and Miss Grant ultimately used the weather and COVID-19 as an excuse to back out. Okay. Well, maybe that's true. So this is where they say that the wife found out and they had to get rid of her. Hang on. So here's this thing. I want to find wait a second. Where is okay, hang on. Let me do this real quick. Because this is, I'm searching injuries. All right, here we go. So here's the deal. So he used sex toys on her, and one of them, he had this novelty sex toy that is not supposed to go inside of girl. You know what? I don't even need to show this anymore. I'll just tell you exactly what happened. I memorized this. He had this novelty size sex toy that is not meant for insertion. It's not meant to, it's either like a joke or whatever. And he used it, and he hit her so hard with it, right? He hit her so hard that she was like injured. Okay, it says here, she sustained physical injuries, including bleeding and pain from forceful use of the toys. She pleaded to, cease any further activity or encounters, and because of McMahon's consistent physical aggression during them. On the occasions Ms. Grant informed that she was physically injured during the sexual encounter, his response varied from apologies to non-accountable pushback on impulse control. When encounters were particularly brutal, Ms. Grant learned to bookend the truth of her injuries with compliments to create the least amount of pushback from McMahon. So that means that she would be like, "Oh my God, Daddy, you tore me up last night, blah, 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 blah." That's why I'm saying, like, you get into these text messages, her case is not going to be good. But again, what we're talking about today is this dude is a psycho, okay? I don't care if she's into it or not. Ms. Grant sustained brutal and painful injuries, including bleeding, swelling, bruising, and spans of incontinence resulting from McMahon's forceful use of fists, adult toys, and objects unsafe for insertion or penetration. On August 28, 2020, Ms. Grant texted McMahon that she was injured during their latest sexual encounter as a result of McMahon's insistence on penetrating Ms. Grant with an extra-large sex toy, including a vibrating wand that caused her to panic. McMahon ignored her warning, and the device was not meant for insertion, and he forcefully shoved the wand inside of her so deep that it became stuck for a period. She texted she was in pain, bleeding a lot last night and today. I'm on the floor right now because I can't get comfortable. Still really uncomfortable. I got hurt in a way that I'm having trouble describing. And Vince McMahon says, "I'm sorry. Sometimes I get carried away." Miss Grant is now just under 100 pounds. On one distressing event on November 21st, 2020, McMahon drove Miss Grant to WWE headquarters to fulfill his fantasy of having an encounter with her in the office. She suffered a panic attack in the passenger seat while pleading with McMahon to change her mind. McMahon scoffed, gave her an ultimatum, either have a sexual encounter with her in the office or inside of his parked car. So she did it inside the car. I mean, it's just like, and then this is the one where he ends up shitting on her. So anyway, I just figured I would tell you guys that story just in case anybody is confused and thinks that I'm like, Vince McMahon's a good dude. He's a psycho. And this tiny little girl, okay, take your pick of which one. This is who he did this shit to. So, I mean, listen, dude, I guarantee you get into the text messages that I'm right. It's going to be, there will be no possible case criminally because she acted like she was into this and maybe she was into it. But a person who wants to see Brock fucking Lesnar's 300-pound fucking shack cock destroy a 100-pound girl that you call your girlfriend is a fucking psychopath. The end. That's all I've got.